Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to yet another episode of the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah, Wachera. How have you woken up? I hope you guys have woken up well and you've done your morning affirmation. As it is fashioned here at the Younib Breakfast Show, let's go straight to the morning bite of the day. Yes, as you guys have seen from the morning bite of the day, today we're speaking about conflicts. Conflicts is something that all of us tutaenda through ama tumeenda through. It's something that we all in one way or another need to understand or also get to know how to solve them. And that is why we are having this discussion of the day. As usual, I am joined by my psychologist here, the psychologists who are in partnership with the Missio organization as well as the Younib organization, so as to ensure that your mental well-being is taken care of. Remember, if you have any question, you can call them through 0700 352 250 and they will be able to help you out with any mental health challenges, right? So to start us off kwanza, I want to introduce you guys. I know mmekuwa mkijiintroduce sana, so today let me do you guys the honors, right? Yeah, to start with the gentleman, his name, he goes by the name Tembe Muzami. He's a psychologist here. We have Valentine Diwa, and also we have Bilanjage, and all of them are psychologists here to help us know more about our mental well-being, right? Today, as I said, we're speaking about conflict. So we need to know or to understand what is a conflict. So who will take us through?
A conflict, I'd say, is a disagreement between one of many people. This happens when two parties are not on the same page. It could be because of their personal differences. It could be they have different opinions on stuff. But it's essentially at the root of it, a conflict is when it's friction between two people or the parties involved within a certain setting.
So it's like a disagreement between two people, right? So what are the causes of these conflicts?
I think Ntembe has actually mentioned some. We have personality differences, whereby we may not be thinking things through in the same way, and so conflict arises. We have as well a conflict in values, difference in values. So what is valuable to you may not be what I find valuable, so we may clash on how to agree on certain things. Sometimes also we have situations where there are limited resources, like if there was one pimp up here, best believe you would all be on the ground
Searching for
the fight for that one thing. So when there's limited resources, there's that tendency for people to fight with each other to get those resources. Yeah.
Okay, now we have gotten to understand what causes conflicts and what is conflicts. Are there any types of conflicts?
Okay, so types of conflicts we can have either on a personal level or rather on a professional level. So personal tends to happen between different people, and then our professional mostly it has to do with the work setting. Just to touch on what causes, because Villa and Mutimbe have mentioned that differences in values, maybe in personalities, are some of the things that causes conflicts within different kind of individuals. Of course, huwezi kuwa in a conflict wewe peke yako, but sometimes unaweza jipata making a decision inakuanga like it's a problem, so that it itself can be like a conflict within your inner self, because you're not in a position to decide what you really want. But now when it comes to the professional or rather in the work setting, a lot of things usually cause the conflict. One of those is what Villa has mentioned, like the resources are not available, and maybe you're given a particular task to handle. You'll find that, okay, let me use maybe in this kind of a setting, maybe you had only one camera to shoot the show, and the shows are happening at the same time. you'll find that there'll be a disagreement between you and maybe another host who wants to shoot a show at that particular time. So that can cause a conflict if the resources within a company is limited. Then there is another aspect of change. Change is something that usually brings a conflict. Even let's put it in the way to be changed 844 to CBC, like there was a lot of controversies, a lot of friction. Why? Because of the uncertainties that we usually have of that change that is going to take place. So if it is in an institution, if maybe they want to promote somebody to be the manager, you'll find that kunaweza kuwa na conflict if there are two parties that are in support of one person and not the other. It's likely to cause a friction or a disagreement among people. And then also in the professional setting, what usually causes conflict is if there is unclear goals of that particular company and even the responsibilities that you're given. Sometimes in companies, you might find that you don't know what your role is. So it tends to conflict. Maybe you are the one who was supposed to wash the car in the company and you didn't know. So this thing is likely to cause a disagreement between you and the people, the management, or between you and your workmate, because it was not clearly, the structures were not clearly put in that particular place. Then if in a company setting, there is also the aspect of unfairness. You might find that maybe your boss or your other colleagues tend to favor other people more than you. So that can bring a disagreement, rather cause a conflict. So there are so many things that are usually involved when it comes to professional conflicts and even the personal conflict. And even that conflict, I would say maybe it's an intrinsic meaning that it's coming from within yourself. That is, if you're not in that position to make the right decision that concerns you.
So we can have different types of conflicts in different places we are, either in relationships, in our professional places. All this can always lead to conflicts. Due to tunaambiwanga, as human beings, we all have different ways of having what we want to be done. So you can get, wewe unataka hii simu ama kitu yoyote iwekwe hapa na ikae hapo. Then your friend or colleague comes anasongesha. That is already a conflict, because this person will start saying, nani amesongesha hii kitu yangu? Oh, who has done this? Who has done this? And at the end of the day, inakuwa a conflict if it is not well spoken about, right? So I want us to take a short break and we'll be back with more concerning the conversation on conflicts. Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah Wachera, and today we're speaking about conflicts and conflict resolution. How can we be able to know a conflict? How can we be able to help other people when it comes to conflicts at work, at our relationships? So today, that is what we are going to talk about. Remember, this show is probably brought to you by Younib organization and Miss Your Ashen to be able to help you guys know more on matters mental health. And you can always interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. If you have any mental health questions, you can always get to them or reach out to them through the number 0700 352 250, and they will be able to help you out, right? So we know that you guys have been going out on different occasions to different schools, to different people in our community. So what are the types of conflicts that you guys have been going through ama mmekuwa mkipata watu wanaenda through?
Well, I would say majorly it's something to do with the family conflicts. That means the family dynamic is not the most ideal. It could be the parents are not. It could be that the parents are not doing okay. Maybe they are having financial issues, so they tend to, instead of addressing the issue at hand, they tend to go on at each other, which also trickles down to the kids, and overall it affects their mental health. But it is quite alarming, honestly, considering the few schools we've been to and the community outreaches. The numbers are staggering when it comes to family issues. That means either the siblings are not getting along, the parents are not getting along, the parents and the kids are not getting along. So yeah, it is quite alarming. Maybe my colleagues can share about their experiences.
Yeah, I would say on my experience, it's kind of what Tembe has talked about. Majorly people are going through relationship conflicts, and then now when it comes to relationship, there is the aspects of, like he's mentioned, siblings, if it is with the parents, and then also there is this aspect of in marriages, there are people who are in a lot of conflict. Sometimes it even goes to maybe that point whereby maybe the couple are not getting that satisfaction between themselves, so that brings a conflict. And you'll be surprised that this thing is really affecting those students, because it's making them to feel very depressed. A common sign that they usually say is that they feel very lonely, they feel unloved and unwanted, and this is simply because they are not getting that feeling of security where from the home environment that they come from. And then also even in the schools, they are conflicting between the teachers and even the people or other students that they are relating with.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll just, agree with what I have said. A lot of relational conflicts. So with pupils, you see with, their fellow classmates or with teachers. But then there's also what Valentine had touched on, the conflict itself. So you look at some of the concerns are, they are participating in certain activities that they know are not good for them, but are not able to stop. So that forms a conflict within. And so there gets to be a lot of questions on, how do I stop them, either using drugs or whatever it is that is not aligning with either their values or their goals, therefore causing a conflict inside.
So those are majorly what you have been getting kwa ground, sindio? And I'm sure there are different types of conflicts. Ni vile tu you guys have not yet reached to maybe the workplaces specifically that people are going through these things, but you guys are really doing a good job trying to help the people in our community, the children in our community, so that they can be able to become better people through learning from you guys, right? So asanteni sana for the good work here. Yeah? So when we speak about conflicts, definitely we have to get to the solution. The conflict is a problem. So how are we supposed to take, or how are we supposed to handle conflicts?
I think I would start by saying, well, one, understanding that conflict is a normal part of the human experience. So it's it's more helpful to expect it than to be shocked that it may appear. Because even if you're to be alone with yourself, there'd still be thoughts in your head that are not agreeing with each other. So conflict is a normal part of every relationship, whether that's with yourself, parents, workmates, colleagues, at whatever level. Yeah, so acknowledging that then means that we can now move towards what is a solution. Yeah. And so depending on the severity of the conflict, and I'll also give my colleagues a chance to just speak about it, there's moments when you need to realize when to stop and pull yourself away from it. You go calm down, and then you come back when you're not very heightened, because when you both, when both parties are heightened, then it's likely that the conflict will escalate and not really resolve. Yeah. And then there also needs to be that ability to consider the other person's or the other party's side of the story. So in as much as I might have my truth, I need to take time to listen. What's your truth? With that example that Valentine gave, that there's one camera, there's 2 shows that need to be run.
Yeah.
So why do you think you're the one who needs it? Why do I think I'm the one who needs it? Can we look at both sides? And then is there a way that both of us can compromise, so that it's not just one person crossing over and then they feel like they're being abused? And so in some cases it could actually be abuse, but that I can see you've made a few steps to see where I'm at, to meet me where I'm at, and I have also made a few steps to meet you where you're at. Yeah.
Okay. I would say that what Bella said sums up to communication. So communication helps to solve a lot of things. And communication, there are different aspects that needs to be there. We have to involve listening to the other party, the key party, that the 2 parties. If you are a teacher in the school, because there are these cases of students who are saying, they have conflicts within themselves, but the best way that they can solve that conflict is through fighting, because they cannot approach their teachers, because they say that maybe they have told their teacher and the teacher feels like, I cannot solve this issue. So what does the child do? The only thing that they think of doing is fighting the other person or abusing. So most of the students out there having negative conflict management or resolution. A conflict, it can end, but the best part of what we do is just managing the conflict, because like Bella said, it's part of life. It's something that we cannot do away with it. So part of what you're doing is that we are teaching these people how to communicate. So what happens if you tell your teacher that maybe a George or a Samuel is abusing you, and the teacher is not doing anything? What steps are you supposed to do? So what you advise that kind of a person, if you feel like the teacher is not working, you can involve maybe your parent, or your parent, or even the school administration now needs to know that these are some of the challenges that I'm facing, and I've told the teacher and nothing has been done. So communication is very, very, it's key, because in it's when you will have that empathy. Empathy is you're putting yourself in another person's situation. And that's why most of the time when even I'm doing that teaching, the psychoeducating to these children, I ask you, well, how would you feel if somebody abused you? Then they give their own answers. So some will say they feel bad, some say they don't even want to go to play, those kind of things. So if you are able to make this person understand that what you are doing to another person makes them feel in a bad way, they are able to change that kind of behavior. Maybe they can add something.
Yeah, well, okay. Sometimes you can do all that you can, umejaribu kusolve the situation, you've decided to communicate, you've decided to meet the other person halfway, but still you're not able to resolve the conflict. So that is when you go out there, outsource, and then you bring in a mediator. Case in point is the Kofi Annan story. See, now both parties were not able to agree, so they called in a third person to listen to either sides of the story, to both sides of the story, and then have this person, let's call him person A, have person A understand where person B is coming from, and have person B understand where person A is coming from, so that in the event, let's say these people do not want to talk to each other. They don't want to see. You're so angry. You are very hurt. You don't even want to see them. But it is essential for you to communicate. It's essential for you to communicate and to move on so that life goes on. So that is when you call in another person, and then you get to kind of look for a solution.
Okay, so I think now we understand how we can be able to resolve our conflicts. What are the best ways? Because tumeelezewa in better ways actually of how we can be able to solve the conflict. So I want us to take this short break as we think about also other ways that we may be able to resolve it. Remember, you can always interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show, and today we're speaking about conflicts and conflict resolution. With me, I have some example of conflicts, and I would like our psychologists to be able to explain to us how we can be able to resolve this specific conflict. So I'll start with the first one. A couple, Alex and Taylor, who have been together for several years. Alex is a freelancer graphic designer who works from home, while Taylor is a marketing manager with a demanding schedule. Conflict arises when Taylor feels that Alex's flexible work hours lead to uneven distribution of household chores. Taylor comes home exhausted after a long day at work, only to find dishes unwashed and laundry unfolded. This leads to arguments about fairness and contribution to the household, as Alex feels their work is equally important and believes that they contribute in other ways.
Okay, I would say it's a relational conflict, and this conflict is coming about because of the home issues. You are at home, and you finish. Maybe you get to finish your work early, and then maybe I'm working somewhere else, and then coming in and finding that nothing has been done. To this person who is going out, probably that may feel like it's too much, but the best way they can handle it is trying to communicate with each other and try to understand, like, why is it that you are not able to wash the utensils, other than I can't recall their name, assuming that he was just seated here and doing nothing. So communication is very, very important, because kuna situations, even I myself, nimejipata home, and then you have lots of things to do. So mtu mwenye ametoka anaweza dhani umekuwa tu ukikaa tu hivyo, but that's not the case. Yeah.
So the main way of resolving this specific conflict is through them sitting down and just communicating.
Yes, trying to understand like why is it that the dishes are not washed.
Okay. You have anything else to add there?
Just to expand a little bit on communication, understanding what were the expectations that each have of the other, or of the roles. And I guess this could work in family or even at work. What's the expectation of my role here? So that if it's not done, then that's why you're feeling that way. And then communicating again, what's a possible compromise? Like, so now coming up with solutions together. What's a way around this so that I don't feel like umekaa tu kwa nyumba ufanyi anything, and you don't feel like I'm not appreciating whatever you're doing. So how can we meet each other in the middle?
Oh, awesome.
I'd also like to add that these parties, the people concerned here, Alex and Taylor, they could sit down and decide, let's say Monday I do the dishes, Tuesday you do the cooking, division of the work roles. So that at any single day, you know what is expected of you. As Abdullah said, you know what you're supposed to do. So in the event that the dishes are not washed, you know that I'm not supposed to do the dishes. And if I am not able to make it home in time to wash the dishes, then you communicate. And then that is the easiest way to avoid the conflict, when there is set boundaries and then there is clear communication.
Now it's nice that we've gotten to understand how we can be able to resolve, because I'm sure this type of conflict is really common to so many people in relationships. So I'll go to the next example. In a marketing agency, there's a project team working on a tight deadline for a client's campaign. One team member, Sarah, consistently misses deadlines and fails to deliver quality work. This leads to frustration among other team members, especially Tom, who is responsible for coordinating the project. Tom confronts Sarah about her lack of contribution, but Sarah becomes defensive, citing personal issues and workload as reasons for her performance. The conflict escalates as the team's success depends on everyone's contribution, leading to tension and a need for conflict resolution within the team or through management intervention.
Okay, there is Sarah and Tom.
Yeah.
I hope I got that right.
You did.
So Sarah is the one who is not doing that much, and Tom feels like what Sarah is doing is really affecting the progress of our team.
Yeah.
And Sarah has, according to what you've read, is that she has clearly put that she's experiencing some personal matters, as well as she feels that the responsibilities that she's given is too much. So sometimes when you're working in a place and you have too much responsibilities, if you're not in a position to meet these responsibilities or these tasks, a conflict is likely to arise. So what can Tom and even other people in the management do to ensure that Sarah is able to participate in her work? So what they can do, probably they can try and sit down and get to understand Sarah's grievances. Like, why is it that she's not able to complete the task? And she has clearly put that the responsibilities are too much. Maybe they can consider hiring somebody to support her so that the work can be done in time. That's my take.
Your take, Mtembe?
Well, I feel that it all comes down to communication, because if Tom is very frustrated and then Tom is not communicating to Sarah, Sarah is not going to change. Because you also need to understand that there is no I in team. That means you work as a unit, and if the work is not done, it reflects on all other people who are involved in the team. So with good communication, Sarah gets to air out her grievances, as Valentine put it well. She gets to talk about how she thinks she will be able to achieve her deadlines, with or without the pressure within the workplace. So as long as Tom is communicating and Sarah is communicating, they are definitely going to come up with a solution.
I think maybe just hopefully to summarize what both Valentine and Timbi have said, I think I'd want to appreciate two things. One, that conflict resolution is very closely tied to problem solving skills. And two, that in a work environment, it's very challenging because in as much as, the boss may want to care for the person, there's also the work that needs to get done. So it gets very complicated at the workplace. And so in such a space, I think it would be a good idea to do what Mutembe had talked about, in that is there a third party, whether that is HR, that can, mediate between, the boss who represents, the work that needs to be done, and Sarah, the person, with, the challenges that a person can experience. And so once both sides are heard, then now we bring in these problem solving skills. Are, Sarah's concerns valid? Is she really actually being overworked? Or are personal issues beginning to creep into the work that she needs to do? And so what solutions can be found? Yeah, and that leads us to, what Valentine has said. Does she need an assistant? Does there need to be, redistribution of the work? Does she need some time off to go and sort out personal issues? Now, based off of that mediation, we're able to come up with the best solution. Yeah, for the situation.
Wow, I think now we've gotten to understand how we can be able to resolve different conflicts in different parts of our life, like relationships and also workplaces. So, what are the potential consequences for people living with unresolved conflicts?
Well, unresolved conflicts, just like trauma, means that somebody is not able to move on. So if you did not resolve your conflict, that means there's a high chance that the bridge is going to get severed. That means either communication may or may not be quite the best moving forward, which is going to maybe bring up other conflicts in future. Case in point is, let's say somebody hurt you or somebody took something away from you. But then if you don't resolve if you don't resolve that conflict at the time that it happens, you might find that in the future you're not going to trust this person. You're going to, whenever they're around, you always keep your things closed. You're always putting your walls up, and it's going to make sure that it's going to lead to the relationship being very, very difficult, very rigid, because you don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to acknowledge that I hurt you. You also don't want to acknowledge that you were hurt. So there's going to be a push and pull kind of relationship, which is not the most ideal.
And I would just add, sometimes with all the issues that are happening in our country, like each and every day, we are getting to hear that people are killing each other. Like, where did that killing come from? It all resonates to they had a disagreement which they were not able to solve the disagreement. And then at the end of the day, because I am harboring a lot of negative emotions, you find that we were not able to talk about that issue. Then because of this negative emotion, I end up killing another person.
Sometimes it also becomes the cause of mental health disorders. So because that relationship is broken or there seems to be no way to fix it, I get into substances as a way of coping. I get into depression or develop anxiety disorders as, just trying to make sense of what's happening. Yeah.
So now we know how to solve conflicts, how we can be able to also help people around us, our own family members, our own people at the workplace. Like, how can we be able to best resolve a conflict? And that is what we wanted to tell you or to teach you through this episode of conflicts and conflicts resolutions. Now I know that you guys at mkienda hapo nje, you can be very good advocates of conflict solving. You can be able to make somebody be able to just think out of the box and tell them, yes, I know this is a problem. Let's let's maybe have somebody else to come help us on how we can be able to solve this. And that is what is really important for us to be able to grow and also to live together in harmony and peace, right? So remember, you can always interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Or if you need any assistance from our own psychologist here, you can always call them through the number 0700 352 250, and they will be able to assist you with your own problems, right? So this has been the Uni Breakfast Show. Thank you to everyone who has made this show a success. It's because of you guys that you are able, or because of these people, that you are able to see the end product, like us in the morning, and to be able to even enjoy what you have seen, right? And to you, our viewers, for always being there to just be able to share the comments, to be able to tell your people to also tune in. We are really, really grateful. Until next time, do have a beautiful day ahead. Goodbye.